everyone, hope you're having a good day. I'm Louise from Knollcraft, and today we're going to be having a look at something called the scroll stitch. Now for me, I kind of feel like this is something like a stitch that I should use a lot more than I do, and it's one of those ones that I kind of forget about. But it's a really pretty stitch, and every time I see it, instantly I think it would be perfect for like a nautical themed embroidery, because it just reminds me of like the ripples on the sea or on a river or something like that, on a stream. So yeah, before I waffle on too much, let's have a look at how to do the scroll stitch. So to do the scroll stitch, I'm going to start at the left hand side of this line. I'm going to pull the needle and thread all the way through. And then we're going to take the needle and thread on a diagonal, just very slightly above the line, and then we're going to sew stitch just very slightly below the line, so you're just catching a tiny bit of the fabric on your needle. We're going to take the thread around the back of the needle, and then we're going to weave it underneath the tip of the needle to create like a circular stitch. And then we're going to pull the needle and thread all the way through. So you can see it's almost created that little loop with a little bit of a scalloped edge. And we're just going to continue to do that all the way along the line. So I'm going to go to the next scroll stitch, and again, just very slightly above the line, sew stitch on the diagonal, just very slightly below the line, and then we're going to leave the needle in the fabric while we take the thread around the back of the needle, like that, and then weave it underneath the tip of the needle to create that circular stitch or loop. Pull the needle and thread gently through, and you have your second scroll. Be careful that you don't pull them too tight, and you might just have to gently adjust them with your needle as you go along so that they sit flat against the fabric. Do that a few more times, and you don't want to have them too far apart, because otherwise they just won't sort of sit properly on the fabric, and they'll sort of just become a bit sort of distorted. So once again, just slightly above the line, catch a little bit of that fabric on my needle, weave the thread behind, and then underneath the tip. Careful not to pull that thread up from the last stitch, and then pull your needle and thread through. And just undo this little knot. This is just because I pulled it through a little bit too quickly, and the tail there had just, there we go, it just sort of got caught up with the rest of the thread. If that happens, don't panic, literally just very gently just manoeuvre the thread until that unravels, and then adjust those stitches so they sit nice and flat against the fabric. But that's the beauty of this stitch, is it's easy to manoeuvre so that it looks nice and neat, but also it has that very slightly textured effect. So what we'll do now to finish this stitch is we're just going to do, you could do it a little bit longer to match the other side. I'm just going to do a small anchor stitch just to the side of that stitch to hold that in place. And there you have the scroll stitch. So I hope you enjoyed the stitch along this week, and don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, then remember to turn on your notifications and hit subscribe. And I will see you all in the next stitch along. Bye everyone!